Good evening, Karina Carvalho with ABC News Sunday. Labor looks to have won the state election. The ABC's election analyst Antony Green is predicting 48 seats for the ALP, a slim majority of 2. But with votes still being counted, it could be another week before final results are known. Both major parties bled support, the LNP's poor showing raising questions about Tim Nicholls' leadership. State political reporter Josh Bavis has the story.
It looks like victory, the Premier and the 7 fresh faces of the new Labor government.
Isn't it wonderful to see so many women added to my team?
All from the southeast, all snatched from the LNP.
They're all very talented. They're all very talented.
It's far too early to know if any of the first-timers will be elevated to the cabinet if and when Anastasia Palaszczuk forms government.
As soon as every vote is counted, then I will be talking to my colleagues about the future ministry.
All figures show the Premier can govern in her own right and won't need to negotiate with the minor parties. But it wasn't all a walk in the park. The Premier's right-hand woman, Jackie, Trad in a close contest with the Greens as the count got underway last night.
Our opponents had lots of people from interstate, lots of people from right across southeast Queensland come in here and run a campaign against me.
Ms Trad still hanging in with the most primary votes. Across the state of the primary vote, ALP got 36%, LNP 33.5%, One Nation less than 14%, and the Greens almost 10%. As it stands, that gives 43 to Labor, 35 to LNP, the Katters 2 and at least 1 independent. The ABC's election computer is predicting 48 seats to Labor, 41 to the LNP, 1 seat to One Nation, 2 to the Katters and 1 independent. Last night it was a nervous wait as the count unfolded. Leanne Enoch at least had a clear and early result, securing her second term.
I will be the longest serving Aboriginal person to ever be in government.
Labor's safest MP, Joanne Miller, breezed back in on a margin of 26%, even more than the Premier. Environment Minister Stephen Miles, who jumped seats in the redistribution, also held on.
Look, north of Brisbane, 1 seat was abolished, the one I was in. A seat was created, one where I grew up. And so I took the option to run in that seat.
By the time the Premier arrived at the Labor headquarters last night, she was confident she would make it through.
Queenslanders are not red or blue. We are maroon.
Yeah! It was a less optimistic view from the other side.
What is abundantly clear is that tonight, Queenslanders have voted to shake things up.
The Premier says it was her stance against One Nation that helped voice support for Labor, but concedes it was no overwhelming support for the party.
And to those people who didn't vote Labor, we hear your message. We will continue to work with you and we will re-engage with people as much as we possibly can.
The woman who made all this possible, satisfied she's climbed her political Mount Everest once more.
Let's go live to our state political reporter Josh Bavis at Parliament. Josh, how did Labor's front bench fare?
Well, Karina, while the results show that the ALP is set to retain power of the House, it's also been good news for the current ministers. Every single Labor minister which was recontesting their seat is set to return. Now, it's not been the case for the opposition, though. Their front bench is set to be decimated. Some of their strong performers, like Scott Emerson and Ian Walker, they'll be sent packing. And as Leonie Mellor reports, there's already talk about Tim Nicholls and whether he'll be the man to lead the opposition into the future.
The morning after, the night before.
How are you?
Tim Nicholls and Deputy Deb Frecklington met with family and friends.
I think we need a coffee.
Yes, definitely, a big one.
The party's predicament sinking in.
We can order you one. How are you doing, Miss? You're on your own now.
No worries, absolutely.
But he's not giving up just yet.
The Premier wasn't granted the majority after a terrible campaign.
The LNP's front bench has taken a major hit. Its casualties include senior shadow ministers Scott Emerson, Ian Walker, Andrew Cripps, as well as Matt McEachen and Tanya Smith. Shadow Education Minister Tracy Davis is also expected to go.
Friends of ours, hard-working, dedicated, loyal to their constituents, look like they have lost their positions as a result of One Nation.
Well, we did have issues.
The writing was on the wall early for Ian Walker.
It's obvious from here it's going to be a very hard fight to win this seat.
Anger palpable from Scott Emerson.
It's going to be a tough fight. It was always going to be a tough fight, and given the new boundaries, given the change of the voting system, but I'm not a quitter. That's why I didn't leave this seat and run away like Stephen did.
Long-time member Glenn Elms has been dumped in Noosa. Sid Cramp also looks set to lose his seat of Gaven. No one wanted to speak today except born-again MP David Crisafulli, albeit in a new, safe seat.
It was an election where if you were prepared to do some work that you'd be able to get a good result.
Tell that to those who lost.
The focus is now turning to Mr Nichols' leadership. David Crisafulli and Tim Mander being touted as possible replacements. But Deputy Deb Frecklington would also surely have to be considered after shining during the campaign.
All will become clearer once the final count falls. Leonie Mellor, ABC News, Brisbane.